Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia. How are you this morning? And welcome to Complex PTSD TV live. And my name's Linda. I'm your certified trauma recovery coach. Welcome to Friday. It's been such a massive, massive week for everybody globally, and especially in Australia, America, UK, all those areas where our government's been navigating what to do, hopefully in the best interests to keep us all safe and to stop our whole population getting unwell. So, to that end, we've had a week of doing and talking about different things that we can do during COVID-19 to keep our mental health, all right, to sustain it through this time. And yesterday, we talked about how not to kill our spouse during COVID-19 part one, and that was really the foundation, if you will. So you can do all of those things when you're not triggered. If, however, you and or your spouse are triggered, and we're going to need a whole different list as well. So for those on Facebook, I've put the list it's Friday, okay? I've had a massive week getting my brain off freeze, getting my brain off shutdown. And it's been an amazing week to do this, actually, because it's really helped me notice how much or when my brain shuts down, and how much it takes to get physically moving, to get the breathing happening, and to actually keep getting up and making sure that I'm pushing forward, just taking the one next step. And some days it's felt impossible. Other times I've sat down to have a coffee and fell asleep with the coffee in my hand, because that's what shutdown does. And when we're pushing through, we can fall asleep just like that, because it is very, very draining on our whole system, our whole internal system. But the good news is, as we continue to take that one step forward, we get better as well. So I encourage you, keep taking the one next step that's out of your comfort zone, because it's worth it. Now, today we'll talk about how not to kill your spouse during COVID-19 part 2, but it's also, how not to kill your kids, your family, your friends, how to stay sane and keep your mental health well during this whole entire time. Now, pardon me. So what I did was I sat down and I thought about what are the things that we don't know that we need to know going into all of this and keeping our relationship happening. And the first thing that we need to be aware of is owning when we're triggered. Okay, so when our brain shuts down, we need to be aware that it's happening, because if we're not aware that it's happening, then it's just going to create more chaos for us in that relationship. So there can be one of two scenarios. There can be the scenario where you're in a relationship and just you have the shutdown happening, and your partner's like, what the heck happened? 1 minute we're talking, next minute, we're going off like a frog in a sock and negative, and they don't know, and they don't know how to manage that. And the other scenario is that both spouses have mental health challenges, and both of you are faced with your brain shutting down, and then everything going off, and the whole situation going to, as we would say in Australia, hell in a handbag. But we don't want to do that, okay? We want to be aware first. So the first thing we've got to do is be willing to be aware of when our brain goes into shutdown. Now, the easiest way we can recognize that is when we can't get anything out of our mind except a negative thought. So if your thoughts are negative, what you're saying to your spouse, your family, your friends is negative, if you can't shift your mind into a positive mindset, and I mean, if you can't shift your mind into a space where you can get your emotions, get your thoughts, put them together and make a logical sequence out of them, then your brain's gone into shutdown, okay? And it's better to assume that it's gone into shutdown than to keep trying to bash your head against a brick wall and get your point across, because it's not going to work, all right? Whether you like it or not, your whole internal system is now running on emotions, and you have to be willing to retreat, okay? So today's acronym is going to be retreat, because that's the very first thing we need to be willing to do, is to retreat. So Nick and I went through these steps, and Nick and I do this because we communicate. So maybe your first step is being willing to communicate and say, stop, my brain shut down. I need to step back from this situation for a moment or two, or maybe, a good half an hour to an hour. And it's that honesty, that willingness to be honest about what's happening for you. And if you can't start with that, then all the rest of the steps that we've got happening, it's going to be even harder. So start with the honesty. And if your partner doesn't understand because they don't get shut down, then they will need to learn that shutdown means that you can't process in an orderly manner and your thoughts and emotions in an orderly manner. And when you can come back and have an equal adult communication, okay? So that's what you're looking for with your spouse, is to be able to sit down and have equal adult communication, but we'll get into that later. So the first thing you want to do is retreat. Now, what does retreat look like for you? That's what you've got to ask. For me, retreat means I either say that, hey, Nick, or whoever, I need time out. I've just got to go and sort it out in my own mind. And Nick knows now, he knows that if I say that I really do need to sort it out in my own mind. Or even if I said it to Josh, all my kids, they all know that I'm just going to go and sort it out. So take time out to sit down, go, right, I'm retreating. And it's not retreat for days at a time. This is retreat, sit down, breathe. And the next thing you want to do is examine what's happening for you internally. So are you feeling overwhelmed? Has the anxiety come? Is depression there? If it's just, when I say just, it's not just as in, just. If your brain has shut down, then you need time for it to get back online as well. So do you need to sleep? Do you need to journal? What do you personally need to do to examine all the emotions and all the thoughts that just, vomited out between both of you? And both of you need to do this, whether your brain shut down or not. Both of you need to be willing to do this with each other, not with each other as in, at the moment we're retreated, but sit down separately and examine what happened. Have compassion for each other and see what happened for them. You know them, you live with them. See what happened for them and see what happened for you, okay? The next thing is you want to test out whether you're ready to go back and have that chat. Now, when I say test it out, you want to be honest. If either of you ask, are you ready to talk or ready to sit down and work things out, and you're not ready, if you're still shut down and the only thing that's coming out is negativity, then you're not ready to sit down and reassess what was happening in that situation, okay? So when you're both ready, you're both calm, and you both know that you're processing your emotions in an order, which means your brain's not on shutdown anymore, then you can both sit down and reassess what happened, where are we going from here, and what's our goal. Now, when I say goal, I don't mean like, you have to have a 50-day plan and put things in place. It can be as simple as, I'll give you a funny one. Well, it's funny for me. I came in from gym one day and I checked in on Nick and I said, how you going? He says, I've got, trauma insomnia. So I just said, oh, come and do trauma-informed movement with me. And I just kept going. I never even thought to stop. And he came in and he said to me, Mum, why didn't you just ask, if there's anything you could do? And I said, well, if I ask you that, you always tell me no. And he said, yeah, I do. So this is honest conversation. This is the level of honesty that we need about our actions and their actions and everyone being honest. And he said, Mum, you have no patience. Patient people ask questions. And I went, yeah, you're right. And it's having that willingness to learn from each other. And now it was the greatest gift he ever gave to me. It really was. Because now I sit back and I'm aware that I need to ask questions first. And part of me could sit here for forever and feel guilty, but I don't. These are things that we never learned as kids. So I'm happy to learn, and I'm happy to have those honest communications and say, okay, these are areas I need to adjust. All right. And it wasn't hard. As soon as I knew what I needed to do, I've been doing it with all my kids now, and it's just great. I love it. But it's hard. In the beginning, it can be really hard to hear from someone that there's areas you need to adjust. So honesty isn't easy, but it's worth it. All right. Now, if you're ready to reassess the situation, you also need to be willing to express how you're feeling. Now, remember, that's hard for us because we have to learn to use our voice. We have to learn we're safe to use our voice. And I know for me in the beginning, learning to use my voice came with a lot of tears. It was really, really hard to do. But if we don't step up and start doing it, nobody can do it for us. There is no one that can, it's not like we're a puppet and someone can come behind us and, open our mouth and they're all going to come out. I had done years and years of journaling. So in order to have our voice, we also need to know what I'm feeling. Google emotional wheel. Get an emotional wheel and sit and write down what you're feeling, because you do need to connect your thoughts to your feelings, and we often don't have that language built into us at all, especially when we've come from generations where talking about how we're feeling is not, it's just not the done thing. So when we do this, we also have to be aware that this is all new. We're the first generation doing this en masse, okay? Some families may have done it, but for us with complex PTSD, we're not only educating ourselves how to manage this, we'll be educating our partner what we need, and they will be teaching us how it's different for them as well. And we have to be willing to hear some hard things. And it's not about blame, shame, or guilt at all. It's about having that willingness to know that great things take time. So when we're building relationships, it's messy, but it's in this incredible, beautiful mess that we build relationships that go through hard times, and we do it together, all right? And in our group, we go, together we can. We do hard things together. We make it work, not because of where we've come from. We make it work because of where we want to go and who we want to be, where we're, our whole life. These relationships are important, okay? So once you've both expressed how you're feeling, and when we're communicating, we want to know that, and look, this is especially for men, we women, we can talk, and we need to talk. When we talk things out, we process, and it's like a whole bunch of puzzle pieces come together. So with my kids as adults, I'd say, look, can you just listen to me for a sec? I don't need you to solve anything. I just need someone as a sounding board. And they're great, because I always say what I need. But we need to be willing to say that. And for our men, we have to also be willing to say, okay, let's put a 5-minute limit each or a 10-minute limit each, depending on the situation, of I'm going to express how I'm feeling, what I'm seeing, what's happening, and then give them the same amount of time to express what they're seeing, what they're feeling, what's happening. And your only goal is to listen, to understand. It's not to listen to respond. It's to listen, to understand, and walk a mile in their shoes. And they need to be willing to do the same for you. Now, this is all learnt stuff. This is stuff we have to learn. We have to be willing to learn. And it's worth it. It absolutely is worth it all the way. But two of us need to be willing to learn it, not one. You can't do this on your own. And there is so much healing to be found in relationships when we're willing to do this work as well. Now, when you reach a place of agreement, and it's not agreeing about how you're feeling, it can be just agreeing that we've got a different point of view here. But in that agreement, you're going to find a way how you can both navigate, the situation forward. For one of my friends, and in their relationship, she's had to learn to speak up and express what she needs, and they've had to navigate through how that looks in their own family, all right? And it's not black and white, it's not a one and done. It's an ongoing negotiation process of what that will look like for you, all right? And, I was trying to think what Nick said to me this morning. Anyhow, we went out for our walk, and he was just basically giving me a hard time. And it's just true. Sometimes we forget that we are so human, and that we forget what's our one next step, okay? So be willing to let things grow. Don't be impatient, all right? Like me. Don't want it overnight, make it all happen, signed on the dotted line, this is what we're doing. Be flexible, because remember, one of our greatest challenges with complex PTSD too is inflexible thinking because of where we've come from. But the thing is, once we know that, we can begin to change it around as well, okay? And then both of you go and treat each other, agree to a treat that you can do while we're doing social distancing, because it's worth celebrating the fact that you're beginning to learn how to navigate a whole new situation. And in that treat too, it's good to have a laugh. Honestly, the laughter breaks the tension every single time. And we are each responsible for our own emotions. We have to be willing to not put it on anybody else how we're feeling or what we're thinking. We've got to walk through this process together. Not perfectly. Perfect's boring, and it doesn't create a beautiful mess where we get to lay a solid foundation to walk through hard times together. Because relationships that last a long time are the ones that navigate the hard times, all right? And they face up to each other's, not inadequacies, but each other's, it's not even faults, each other's differences, okay? And then we say that, we're willing to work through this together. And if you don't have somebody who's willing to work through it with you together, it's an incredible lonely feeling, and it's devastating. And having been down that road, there's no way I would ever want to do that again. I always want to have relationships where we can be real and raw and open and honest, but it takes time to get there as well. So you're not allowed to beat yourself up at all right? There's no beating yourself up. Okay. Sorry, I've just got some comments here. I'll just scroll through. Yeah, everyone's saying g'day. It's good to see you all. Thanks for joining in, ladies. It's wonderful to have you here. This meme with the retreat on it and everything so that you can sit down together will be in a blog post as well as in the news feeds, because it's worth doing it even if you do it imperfectly for a few times. It doesn't matter. We come back and we have a go and we try again because we believe in our relationships. We want them. We want to do the hard yards and we want it to stay together, okay? We don't want to discard something that, that we've been working at for years. Dana just said, Timmy isn't a big talker, but he's quite animated. So, sorry guys, I just lost the plot. Timmy is Diana's dog. Yeah, Panda's a great talker too, but Panda actually talks, yeah. But, she'll just agree with me. But Nick will tell me how it is. remember you are loved and you are loving and you are kind and you are generous and you're the most amazing people with the beautiful hearts and souls, and there are millions out in the world that need us now because we understand what they're all going through. You know, for a lot of people it might be the first time they experience anxiety, might be the first time they experience depression. And the last thing we want is people to believe that there's no solutions, because there are, and we are all in this together. As I've said for a long time now, together we can make it through anything that we need to. So reach out. All right, I love you all heaps, and to have the most gorgeous weekend. Remember to like, share, subscribe, because there are millions definitely around the globe who need us, who need our good hearts. So let's go and do this and have a gorgeous, gorgeous weekend. Bye for now.